but on the near side there we've got four wonderful girls. And they're against Globe. And I do know they got a quick start, so actually on this, I would be hoping that they would get out faster than Globe. But these two crews, if you look back, they are pretty well matched. So this ought to be a really good race.
Yeah, and I think that, we do only have 4 heats in this junior quadruple sculls event. So everybody that's got through to this point from the time trial is of a very good quality. In the double sculls that we've just seen, we had sort of 8 rounds, and so therefore it can be quite spread, whereas very intense. We've got 8 crews vying to go through to the further races, through to the semi-finals, in fact, actually it will be. So we know the quality of the racing we're going to get here is absolutely
It is going to be good. It's really, and Globe and Shiplake both made the semi-finals of the Championship Girls quads at national schools. Both were 5th in those semi-finals, so it should be really close.
And actually, in saying, I know obviously with your Shiplake cap on, fantastic quad that you've got.
It is fantastic.
It is a fantastic quad.
Yeah.
But I must say, Globe over the last few years have been sort of getting bigger and better.
I don't need to
year.
hear that.
I know you don't need to hear that, but as it stands at the moment,
look at that. We said it was going to be a race. We said it was going to be a race. And there's absolutely nothing between them at the moment. And this could end up to be a battle of wills, actually.
And if you look there, and for those of you who aren't aware, I was about to mention the surge on the boats. That's probably the best way to tell the boat speed of who's moving quicker. And the surge is that point where you see where the rowers take the blades out of the water there at the finish, and the boat sort of has that injection of speed where it comes up and out of the water. Both of these crews seem to be moving at around about the same speed.
Go, Shiplake!
And that's my very biased co-commentator there screaming out of the window. But with that aside, Shiplake, I think, actually are starting to press about a canvas ahead of the crew from Globe.
Oh, there's nothing in it. This is brilliant, isn't it? Brilliant racing. That's what I talk about. It's going to be a matter of wills. Both these quads are really fit. There are 4 fit athletes in each one.
And a big push there from the crew from Globe. That there was a sort of change in speed. There must have been a call made, I think, because Shiplake were starting to edge out inch on inch and got out to that canvas, and you can see now it's absolutely babble for babble. If not, maybe even the crew from Globe starting to push a bow ball ahead of Shiplake.
But Shiplake have responded, haven't they? It looks as though they've responded. And we're just down the river, up the river, down the river, one direction, and we ought to have the local support just there that should be yelling. And if you're not yelling at them, you ought to be yelling at them.
And as they come past the enclosures, I am absolutely certain there will be lots of support there screaming at this race, because even if you don't support either of these crews, sort of directly, what a race to be witnessing on the bank at this, very early stage in this junior quadruple sculls event. And again, these guys only time trialled this morning, so they've already had one race today. Now they've got a really tough race in their heat, and this is going to come down to who has got the most in the tank for a sprint in the heat. You're not expecting that at this level, and as they come through the enclosures, I think it's going to be whoever goes first is probably going to get it, and it's probably not the best angle that we've got there at the moment to demonstrate who's in the lead. We'll have to bring you a bit of an update in a minute, but
I would say that Globe have taken another push, and they've taken a rate up a little bit. What Shiplake have done, they're trying to stay long. They're going to try and stay relaxed until that final 200 metres. But it looks there that Globe have taken, as they come here, that Globe have, in that push have really taken up, and Shiplake are going to have to really respond now.
So that's about 3/4 of length there to Globe, and from that really tight sort of middle section of the race we had there, I think it is Globe that have gone for the sprint early almost, and I think it's a matter of will to hang on to that, because that's going to be really hard for them to maintain, as you say, coming into the last 200 metres. Shiplake just putting it off a little bit, staying relaxed, staying calm, and it'll just be whether they keep the water, or they run out of water to be able to take that? Do they have enough water?
Well, they're going to have to do it
be
now,
able
aren't they?
to take 3/4 of a length back?
Because they're just by Upper Thames, I would say, now, and it is Globe that certainly have the initiative, and they really are going to have to come back. Meanwhile, back off the start.
Yeah, next race off. And this is a very exciting composite, which is an Australian composite, I believe, between several different crews, which I will tell you just in 1 minute. So this is a composite between Pymble School, Somerville School and Sydney from Australia, and they are against the crew from Strathclyde Park, the Scots. And having travelled down from Edinburgh myself yesterday, it would be nice to see Strathclyde Park do well.
It would be, but these conditions will not suit Strathclyde, will they? At all.
Well, I think they'll be shocked to see the sunlight, in all honesty.
And the flat water.
Yes.
What are they going to do?
Well, I hope they won't
They're
panic.
going to be so surprised.
So surprised. But in the same breath, actually, dealing with those sort of conditions on a weekly basis, I think when it is like this, if you can cope with that, you can cope with anything. But it seems to me that it's the Australian composite, and that's what I'll call them from now on in, just for sake of ease, that's taken about lengths off the start over the crew from Strathclyde Park.
They do look very strong, don't they? I mean, we've got some favourites in this event. Henley will be incredibly strong. We'll see them a little bit later. But I tell you what, the Henley coaches will be looking at that composite pretty closely.
Absolutely, and I think the winner of this race will go on to race later on the winner of the previous race that we just saw, which we will bring to you at some point, because actually we didn't catch the winners of that previous race between Shiplake and Globe. And
oh well, don't make me cry. Just don't tell me at the moment, because I will cry.
We're just being told it was Globe Rowing Club that won, so I'm sorry. But they will go on to race the winners of this one, which looks at this early stage. And again, don't want to speak too soon because you never know what might happen. But this very strong composite from Australia. And you don't come halfway across the world unless you feel you've got a reasonable chance of winning some silverware, I would believe. But
no, you don't. And they'd be, and they've relaxed again. They've made that initial 500 metres, as you were saying earlier, Camilla. You know, they will have raced out to 400, 500 metres. That's where they want to be ahead. Both crews will want to have been ahead at that stage, but it's that composite crew now that have taken the middle of the water, and they're just going to put down a few puddles there for.
Oh, what a glorious shot that is!
Wonderful?
Oh, I love watching quads row from this drone footage, and we've seen it, you know, throughout the regatta, these sort of aerial shots, and I think the quad is the most beautiful boat to watch from above, because look at the symmetry of those blades from that leading crew from Australia. I think, you know, in the puddles that they're producing just makes this sort of blissful, symmetrical picture, and it's so picturesque. And with the daylight we've got today, it's phenomenal. So
steering not so
it's the next
hot.
race, I believe, that's now off the start. So this will be between Emmanuel School and Gloucester Hartbury, who we were talking about favourites earlier, and I think we forgot to mention them. And,
absolutely.
And, there's no forgetting Gloucester Hartbury, a former club of my own, I must say. So
is there a club that you've not been a member of yet?
Well, I never said I was a member of Strathclyde Park, but I was just from Scotland. So the crew from Gloucester Hartbury, of course, didn't enter this event last year in the strength that they usually do. They're usually here to target the event at Henley Royal Regatta, as well as a really. Henley Women's and Henley Royal for them are usually really big targets for them in the women's quad. They didn't come and do the quad last year, they entered the 4 instead, but we cannot forget that they are current holders of the Diamond Jubilee Challenge Cup from Henley Royal Regatta, which, you know, you can't ignore that. And I believe this is a brand new set of athletes that they've got in this strong quad that you can see leading over Emmanuel there by, gosh, probably about 3 lengths at 300 metres in. And they are just starting to relax now, and Tom Pachichas, who coaches these ladies here at Gloucester Hartpury, has been cultivating this programme now for probably around about the last, 9 years, and it sort of plateaued at a point maybe 3 years ago when they started winning the events at this junior level in the quadruple sculls, and they've won at schools in previous years, and they've, as I say, won Henley Royal Regatta. They certainly cannot be discounted as somewhat favourites. And although an unknown quantity, I don't believe anybody in this boat that was part of that winning crew from Henley Royal last year. They seem to find them from somewhere. So.
Well, yeah, and they did well. If it's the same crew that raced at the National Schools Regatta, they just missed out on the medals in that hugely competitive final. I mean, massively competitive final. So they are definitely going to be there and thereabouts, aren't they?
Now, I don't think that was actually the crew that raced at the National Schools. I believe that was their B crew, who are also here. But I think actually got knocked out maybe in the time trial. I'm not too sure. That's just something that I'd heard. That they tend to save their A crews for Henley Royal and Henley Women's, and they'll certainly be targeting this event as one to tick off this year.
I mean, look at that. As they went past us, these athletes, really powerful, hugely together. You're right, they've got to be one of the favourites. So, what have we seen so far? We've seen the Australian composite that we thought was good. Gloucester we've seen. We've got, imagine being a Latimer Upper coach, and the next race you've got your A crew against your B crew.
Gosh.
Who are you going to support?
Wow, I think, it happens. Luck of the draw, isn't it? It's one of those things that you just say, it's luck of the draw, and they're off the start now. You can see maybe a few steering issues. We've seen a few crews doing that, getting sucked into the side and then having to readjust quite heavily. And just for reference, it's the Latimer A crew that are on the Berkshire station, and we've got the Latimer B crew on the Buckinghamshire station. So,
as we look at it, it's Latimer Upper A on the left.
On the left. So
who are using as much of the course as they possibly can.
And actually, that's allowed their. Well, I think potentially we've maybe got those the wrong way around. Because I would assume that would be their A crew on the left now of the picture that are using the M Packer. But it's still quite tight, actually, in saying that. And with the sort of start that crew on the right had from Latimer Upper, that will have lost them quite a lot of water. And they seem to be gaining back now, actually, on the crew on the far side.
A huge amount of course, they'll want their school to do really well, but there'll be a huge competition between these two crews. They will have been seat raced in or out of this. They've been ergo timed and all of that. So although they're smiling at each other before and after the race, there'll be a massive amount of competition.
And wow, look at that. I think the A and B crew have got the bit between their teeth, and one of them wants to be the underdog that comes through, and one of them doesn't want their sort of pride stricken from being the A crew and being beaten by their B crew. And they are now bow ball for bow ball as they come past us. That crew on what is the right hand side of your picture now has come back from 3/4 of a length down from that tricky start that they had from the steering to be level with that crew on the left.
So we would assume therefore that the programme is right, that is their A crew, the way that they've come back. But this B crew is a really talented group of athletes as well, isn't it?
Wow, if this is the group that they've been working with all year, and to have that level of consistency between all of these athletes in such an event, like getting two crews through the time trials of a very competitive junior quadruple sculls event, just goes to show the depth that Latimer have got at the moment. And Latimer actually, they have won this event before here at Henley Women's. A few years ago, sort of previous to Gloucester Hartpury taking the cup off them, and Warrington, I think, were in this last year and potentially won. No, it was Glasgow Schools that won this last year. So,
there you can. You probably can't see, but it is Latimer Upper A as they go past the boats there and the enclosures there. That it is Latimer Upper A. After that really pretty wobbly start, one has to say, they've now taken a bit of control over that, and we've got the single scullers off on there. But we will come back to that Latimer race.
And so this is the first of our junior single sculls events between Agecroft. This is Dooley on the Berkshire station and against Poplar on the Buckinghamshire station. And I'm not sure what B&D actually stands for, but it's Poplar B&D. And it's the sculler from Agecroft who has opened up a reasonable lead there on the right-hand side of your picture in red over the sculler from Poplar. And in these single sculls events, you know, it's all about conserving energy once you get out to a big enough lead, because it's a long old way in a single scull, as we said earlier, and it's just you. You've got no one else to pull you down the course. So if you can get a lead and stay there, you conserve your energy. So we'll come back actually, because it looks like that Agecroft scull is sort of pushed out to enough of a lead where I don't think much will change, and we'll come back to it if it does. But we'll go back up to the race between the two Latimer crews in the junior quadruple sculls event, because look at this. This has been
tremendous.
A ding dong the whole way down the course.
Absolute hats off to Latimer Upper here. That's absolutely fantastic. To have 8 athletes racing like this, just tremendous. And it's the Latimer Upper B crew that have come back at the Latimer Upper A crew, and this is probably one of the best races that we've had, Camilla. Look at that. They'll come level, but it was Latimer Upper A on the near side, as we're looking at, had taken a bit of a lead. But look, it's Latimer Upper B in the yellow M-Packer boat.
And it's just all starting to get a little bit raggedy now as they come up to the finish. And
look at that. Look how happy they are.
Just took that.
My goodness. What a fantastic race. I mean, yeah, there has to be a winner, but brilliant sculling from 8 Latimer Upper scullers. Well done.
That was absolutely incredible. And they were at 42 there through the line on the far side, that B crew, so they really got the bit between their teeth and went for it, and it paid off. Yeah. So we'll be seeing them in the next round. So back to the single sculls now. We've got the next race off the course, which is between Putney High School, that's P Savage on the Berkshire station, and we've got Merchant Taylor's N Almond on the Buckinghamshire station.
And then we've just gone to the race ahead of them that we started before, which is Agecroft and Poplar, and it hasn't changed much there, so Agecroft Dooley seems to be in control of that. And back down the course to Putney and Merchant Taylor's. So it's Putney High School on this near side, number 306, which is Savage, against Almond of Taylor's, and this is close at the moment.
In these single sculls here between Putney High School and the crew from Merchant Taylor's, and I think it's still Putney High School there, just about keeping that canvas lead over the crew from Merchant Taylor's. And we've just had confirmation of the results from that previous race.
Isn't that a wonderful sight here at Henley? A beautiful blue sky, 2 scullers, hardly meandering down the course, really putting a lot of power into it. And we've got on the far side now Merchant Taylor's Almond has come back on the Putney High School sculler.
Okay, and we're now going back to the results from the junior double sculls for the Regatta Cup, and the race number 145 between Beckett Rowing Club and Kings Ely was in a time of 6 minutes and 8 seconds, a win for Beckett Rowing Club, and the verdict was not rowed out. Race number 146 it was a win for Marlow Rowing Club over Warrington Rowing Club in a time of 6 minutes and 5 seconds, and verdict 4 lengths. Race 147 Race 147 was a win for Nottingham Rowing Club over Vevey Rowing Club Switzerland in a time of 5 minutes and 56 and a verdict 4.5 lengths. Race number 148 was a win for Oxford City A over Wallingford Rowing Club in a time of 6 minutes and 11, verdict 3 lengths. Race number 149 was a win for Emmanuel School over Oxford City B in a time of 6 minutes and 25 seconds, and the verdict was 2.5 lengths. Race number 150 was a win for Tideway Scullers A over Shrewsbury School in a time of 6 minutes dead, and a verdict easily. Race 151 was a win for Reading Rowing Club over Buell Bridge in a time of 6:05, verdict 2.5 lengths. Race 152 was a win for Landrath School Rowing Club over Godolphin Latimer in a time of 5 minutes and 55 seconds, verdict 3.5 lengths. And then we've got the results for the junior quad sculls for the quarterfinals, and it was a win in race 153 over Globe Rowing Club over Shiplake College in a time of 5 minutes and 20 seconds, and it was a verdict of 1 3/4 lengths. Race 154 was the Australian composite was a win over Strathclyde Park in a time of 5 minutes and 15, verdict 4.5 lengths. And in race number 155, Gloucester Hartpury, race A, in a win time of 5 minutes and 14 seconds, verdict easily. And 156, it was a win for Latimer A over Latimer B and a time of 5 minutes and 19, verdict 1 foot. I'll pass you back onto the race commentary.
So you're joining us back now for another heat of the junior singles sculls, and I believe this is the race between the St Paul's Girls L Deuce and Twickenham Rowing Club M Duthart, and it's the sculler on the Buckinghamshire station, so Twickenham, I believe, that's currently leading by around about 3.5 lengths to 4 lengths, and very relaxed now that I think she's probably done the work that she needs to at this early stage in the race.
So again, Megan Duthart from Twickenham, she reached the semi-finals at National